Today, I want to introduce a book called Dopamine Nation. The subtitle is Finding Balance in the Age of Indulgence. You can click the link in the description. Try to get the free audiobook in Amazon. The author of this book is Anna Lemke. She is a psychiatrist and the medical director at Stanford University School of Medicine. She specializes in treating patients with addiction. Over the past 20 years, she has successfully helped many people overcome various addictive behaviors, including drug addiction, alcoholism, gambling, and sex addiction, among others. In this book, the author shares many cases she has encountered. Some people are addicted to pornography, some have long-term misuse of marijuana and drugs, and others are addicted to online shopping, racking up tens of thousands of dollars in credit card debt to chase the thrill of unboxing new purchases. Reading these stories was truly shocking because it is hard to imagine that someone could be addicted to such an extent. Through this book, I also gained a deep understanding of the main causes of addiction and learned methods to avoid falling into the vicious cycle of addiction. Now, I will share some key points from this book in the hope that it will bring some insights to everyone. The first key point is the balance mechanism between pleasure and pain. First, let me briefly introduce dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter secreted by our brain, and its main function is to make us feel desire and motivation, driving us to pursue things that make us feel good, such as food, money, finding a partner, and starting a business, among others. When we pursue these things, we feel full of motivation and pleasure. In the past few decades, neuroscientists have discovered that our brain processes pleasure and pain in the same area. You can imagine there is a balance in our brain. When we do pleasurable activities, like playing on our phones, binge-watching TV shows, or playing video games, our brain releases dopamine, tilting the balance towards the side of pleasure. Our brain has a self-balancing mechanism. Whenever we experience pleasure, after a while, our body will self-regulate and naturally produce some pain to counteract the previous pleasure, tilting the balance towards the side of pain. This process is called homeostasis. The brain reduces the number of dopamine receptors, which is why we often feel a sense of loss after experiencing pleasure, followed by a desire for more. If you wait for a while, this feeling will gradually fade, and you will return to a natural state. However, human nature is to chase pleasure, so we return to the activities that make us happy, like watching another episode, eating another piece of chocolate, or playing another hour of video games. Imagine if you let yourself eat, play, and watch without restraint every day for several weeks or even months. Your body will accumulate more and more pain, and the duration will get longer. In this situation, you will find that once you stop, you start experiencing various uncomfortable symptoms such as anxiety, irritability, insomnia, restlessness, and strong cravings. At this point, continuing to watch TV shows or play on your phone is no longer for pleasure but to return to a normal state. Being in this dopamine imbalanced state can lead to a lack of motivation and a loss of interest in everything in life. It's like spending hours on the couch watching TV shows. Even if you haven't done any physical work all day, you will find it difficult to even stand up and walk. You become sluggish. This mechanism in our brain has evolved over millions of years to help our species survive. In the primitive world, our ancestors had to put in a lot of effort and sweat to get a reward of pleasure. They might have to walk tens of kilometers, climb mountains, and face various predator attacks to find food. So, the release of dopamine could increase their chances of survival in harsh environments. But the problem is that our world is no longer the primitive era. We live in an extremely abundant world with social media, video games, gambling, high sugar and high calorie foods, pornography, online shopping, smoking, and drug abuse. These things stimulate our brain to secrete large amounts of dopamine. Neuroscientists have conducted studies on rats, finding that chocolate can increase the baseline level of dopamine secretion in the brain by 55%, sex by 100%, nicotine by 150%, cocaine by 225%, and methamphetamine, or crystal meth, can increase dopamine secretion by 1000%, which is 10 times the normal level. Such drugs permanently damage the brain's reward system, making it impossible to return to a balanced level, so never touch them. Today, we can instantly get a reward of pleasure with just a few taps on our phone screen. This becomes the biggest cause of addiction. Long-term repeated exposure to highly stimulating things reduces our ability to endure pain and raises the threshold for feeling pleasure, resulting in us being unable to find joy and motivation in life. This may also lead to mental illnesses. Data shows that in recent years, the number of people worldwide suffering from depression, anxiety, unexplained physical pain, and suicide cases is rising significantly. It's not just psychological issues. Excessive addiction can even lead to life-threatening conditions. According to data from the World Health Organization, 70% of the causes of death in humans are from cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, cancer, and chronic respiratory diseases. These diseases often start with behavioral factors such as long-term smoking, lack of exercise, alcohol abuse, and poor eating habits. So, indulging excessively in certain substances or behaviors can lead to irreversible consequences. There are many reasons for excessive addiction. Some people face stress in life and want to escape reality. Some feel bored and seek new stimulation, and some are influenced by their surroundings and the people around them. Over the past 20 years, the author has observed that more and more seemingly normal, harmonious families, well-educated and financially stable people are falling into addiction. The author herself, at the age of 40, once got addicted to science fiction romance novels. Her uncontrolled reading led her deeper into addiction, and she neglected socializing, cooking, and even her husband and children. Her life balance was severely disrupted, but she kept reading one book after another. Eventually, she found that ordinary romance novels could no longer satisfy her, and she started reading those depicting sexual content. After about a year of addiction, one early morning at 2 a.m., she woke up to read a novel and came across a scene about sexual abuse. She suddenly realized that reading this kind of content at such an hour was too much. This was not how she wanted to spend her time, so she decided to quit this behavior. Thus, even small recreational activities, if not controlled, can lead one deeper and deeper. So, how do we solve the problem of addiction? One obvious method is to stop engaging in activities or behaviors that stimulate the brain to produce large amounts of dopamine for a certain period, giving the brain enough time to regain balance. This practice is also called dopamine fasting. There was once a young man in his 20s who came to the author for help due to depression and anxiety. At that time, he had dropped out of college, moved back home with his parents, and spent most of his time in his room playing video games until late at night. This lifestyle made his depression worse, and sometimes he even had suicidal thoughts. The author mentioned that if this were 20 years ago, the first thing she would do for such patients would be to provide some antidepressants. But now, she suggests a completely different approach, dopamine fasting. She recommended that the young man stop playing video games and stay away from all mobile entertainment for the next 30 days. Based on the author's clinical experience, it takes about 30 days for the brain to reset the dopamine system. Some studies have also shown that people who abuse alcohol, after stopping drinking for more than a month, will have their brain dopamine receptors become sensitive again, and their anxiety symptoms will significantly improve. 30 days sounds short, but for addicts, these 30 days are not easy, especially the first 2 weeks. You will feel very uncomfortable, and various withdrawal symptoms will appear, such as anxiety, insomnia, impulsiveness, and difficulty controlling your emotions. But this process is crucial. You will go through some lows and then gradually improve. After enduring the first 2 weeks, you will start to feel better in the 3rd week. After a month, anxiety and depression symptoms will significantly decrease, and emotions will become more stable because the dopamine in the brain has returned to normal levels. People can again find pleasure in simple things like walking, watching the sunrise, and enjoying meals with friends. As for the young man, after a month of effort, he felt much better than before, and his depression improved. He started to come out of his room to chat with his family, go out for exercise, and read, eventually returning to school. This series of behaviors brought positive changes to his life. The author points out that when you are deeply involved in a behavior, it is difficult to see the cause and effect relationship. Only by temporarily staying away from addictive substances can you clearly see their impact on your life. The young man also remarked that he used to think there was nothing wrong with playing video games, but after stopping, He realized that spending 5 to 6 hours a day in his room playing games for years was truly a crazy behavior. For the first time, he realized that he had wasted a lot of time over the years, and he didn't want to spend most of his life on games. I personally practice dopamine fasting regularly. Sometimes for a week, sometimes for a month, I will stop engaging in routine entertainment activities like binge-watching TV series, scrolling through short videos, or playing video games. Each time I complete this practice, it brings me a renewed mental state. At the beginning, you might find it hard to resist the urge to check your phone every few minutes or feel a strong desire to watch the latest drama on Netflix. When this happens, you can use the mindfulness meditation techniques mentioned in the book. Mindfulness meditation is a form of meditation practice from Buddhism. Simply put, it involves focusing your attention on your breathing or being aware of the present environment, like the sound of birds chirping or the wind blowing through the leaves. You can also observe your current thoughts and emotions without any bias. After about 10 minutes, the craving for more stimulation usually subsides. I believe meditation is a skill that can transform various aspects of your life. Previously, I made a video introducing meditation, and if you're interested, you can check it out. Generally, apart from extreme cases, most addictive behaviors stabilize dopamine levels to normal after stopping for 30 days. Your emotions will become stable, and you will feel happier and more motivated. However, this doesn't mean the journey ends. Many people relapse after a period of abstinence for various reasons. It could be due to sudden setbacks in life, environmental triggers, or even a desire to celebrate after achieving success, leading them back into the cycle of addiction. Neuroscientist Andrew Huberman shared a metaphor about addiction. No matter how far you drive, the distance to the ditch remains the same. The desire will always exist, which may sound discouraging but also brings hope. When you know there are ditches on both sides of the road, you can focus on driving carefully, avoiding getting too close to either side. Understanding the problem makes it easier to avoid blind mistakes. Desire is a biological instinct that will never disappear. Realizing this can make you feel more at ease. Our goal is not to eliminate desire permanently but to manage and control it. You can set rules to avoid falling back into addiction. I enjoy watching movies and TV series but don't want to overindulge, so I limit myself to no more than 4 hours a week and only watch for about 2 hours each time. This helps me maintain a safe distance from these activities and allows my brain enough time to regain balance. If having your phone in sight tempts you to check it frequently, place it out of view while working. If you can't stop playing PS5, limit your playtime to weekends and store the console away after use. Adding extra steps to access it can help curb your cravings, as suggested in the book Atomic Habits. Making bad habits more difficult to follow is an effective method, as relying solely on willpower is not sustainable. Preparing strategies to deal with desires in advance is key to enjoying activities without overindulging. Prolonged exposure to high-stimulation activities can lead to a dopamine crash, causing low mood, lack of motivation, and procrastination. For instance, if you spend an hour or two scrolling your phone in the morning, you'll feel lazy and unmotivated for the next few hours, a typical state of dopamine imbalance. Are there ways to quickly overcome this lack of motivation? Yes, by doing something more challenging, strenuous, or uncomfortable than your current state. Scientists from Charles University in Prague conducted an experiment where they had 10 men soak in 14 degrees Celsius cold water for an hour. Blood samples taken afterward showed their dopamine levels increased by up to 250%, maintaining elevated levels for several hours. Cold showers are uncomfortable for many, but this discomfort stimulates the release of dopamine, resulting in a significant boost in motivation. This effect lasts for a while, illustrating the body's balance mechanism where pain is followed by pleasure, often yielding more lasting happiness. Other than cold showers, intermittent fasting, exercise, meditation, reading, and any activity requiring significant effort can have similar effects. Completing these activities brings not only prolonged motivation and happiness but also benefits in various aspects of life. The author suggests exercise as one of the most effective methods for treating emotional issues, more impactful and lasting than medications. The key to happiness is getting off the couch, moving your body, and tackling challenging tasks. As the saying goes, easy choices, hard life, hard choices, easy life. Easily obtained pleasures are often cheap and short-lived, whereas rewards earned through effort are more lasting and valuable. Reading this book has given me a deeper understanding of dopamine mechanics and taught me to adjust and control my behavior. Periodic dopamine fasting has taught me to appreciate small, beautiful things like breathing fresh air in the morning, watching a dog play, or enjoying a good cup of coffee. Temporarily distancing myself from constant information bombardment has also helped me focus on my inner thoughts, which is crucial. True clarity comes from solitude and peace, allowing a better perspective on life instead of living in a haze. I highly recommend everyone to try this experience. Additionally, I suggest watching the podcast where Andrew Huberman interviews the author, Anna. They discuss many addiction-related topics over 2 hours, providing valuable insights. From a broader perspective, life has no ultimate goal. Whether it's making money, achieving accomplishments, or reaching goals, happiness is fleeting and will eventually return to a normal state. Understanding this, I often remind myself not to pin all my hopes and happiness on a distant future but to enjoy the process, live each day well, appreciate small progress, and accept inevitable setbacks. Don't push yourself too hard or indulge too much. Maintain emotional stability. Life isn't about dramatic highs and lows but about steady, continuous flow. I hope today's video has given you some food for thought. Feel free to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below to inspire others. Thank you for your time, and see you in the next video. Please like, share, follow and subscribe us. Goodbye.